You are not overfeeding your dog because you love food. You are overfeeding your dog because of something happening inside you, something that has nothing to do with nutrition and everything to do with guilt. Research on self-managed care behavior reveals that compensatory giving spikes most sharply, not when someone is happy, but when they feel like they have failed. Your dog is not hungry, but something in you is. If you want to understand what your dog is really telling you, you are in the right place. You know the moment. You come home after a long day at work. Your dog greets you at the door, tail going, body wiggling. You give them a treat, not because they did anything, not because you asked them to sit or stay or come. You gave them a treat because you walked in the door feeling guilty. Guilty about the hours away, guilty about the morning that felt rushed, guilty for being human and having a life that does not include your dog every minute of it. And so you reach for the bag. It happens again at dinner. You are eating something good. Your dog looks at you. You give them a bite. It happens at bedtime. They jump on the bed. You hand them a treat. Each individual moment feels harmless. Each one feels like love. But across a day, a week, a year, those moments add up to a pattern. And that pattern is not about your dog's hunger. Obesity in pet dogs has reached epidemic levels. Researchers tracking canine health report that up to 59% of dogs in the United States are overweight or obese. And the main cause is not breed, and it is not age. It is what happens in the kitchen, in the quiet moments, when an owner reaches for that bag without being asked. Here's what is actually happening in those moments. It is not generosity. It is not affection, or at least it is not only affection. What it is, psychologically, is a guilt discharge. Guilt is an uncomfortable emotion. The human nervous system is extraordinarily motivated to resolve it, to do something that makes the feeling go away. And when the source of guilt is an animal who cannot speak, who cannot say "I forgive you," who cannot process an apology in any linguistic sense, the brain finds a workaround. It offers food. Food is concrete. Food is immediate. Food produces a visible, legible response, a wagging tail, a gobbled treat, the soft look in your dog's eyes that your nervous system interprets as "we are okay." The guilt temporarily quiets, and then it comes back, and you reach for the bag again. Research on self-managed care and compensatory behavior, including work cited in Health Affairs, has documented how people in caregiving relationships use tangible acts of provision when they cannot address an underlying emotional wound. The treat is not a gift to your dog. It is a message to yourself. I am doing enough. I am a good owner. The dog does not need that message. Number 1. The research is clear that guilt in caregiving relationships does not distribute evenly. It spikes at predictable moments, moments of transition, leaving the house, coming home, going to bed, the moments when the relational contract between owner and dog feels most disrupted. And the brain has mapped a treat onto each one of those transition points. There is a name for this pattern in behavioral psychology: the guilt cycle. Guilt rises at a rupture point. A behavior is performed to discharge it. Relief arrives, briefly. Then guilt rises again, because the underlying feeling was never actually addressed. What owners who overfeed are often experiencing is not a single act of love. It is a loop, a daily, structural loop that the dog's body absorbs. The philosopher Ruse, writing on human moral psychology, observed that the most persistent self-deceptions are the ones we frame as virtues, the ones where we genuinely believe the act is selfless, even when the primary beneficiary is ourselves. Giving your dog an extra treat at the end of a hard day feels like kindness, but if you are doing it because you need to feel like a good owner, if the treat is really for the story you are telling yourself, then the kindness is pointed inward, not outward. Number 2. A treat is often an apology that never got spoken. Think about the last time you snapped at your dog. Maybe you raised your voice when they barked too long. Maybe you pushed them off the couch when you were tired and wanted space. Maybe you rushed the morning walk because you were late and you could feel them pulling on the leash and you just did not have the patience. Those moments pass quickly, but the guilt does not. And unlike human relationships where you can say, "I am sorry, I was stressed," there is no equivalent repair script with your dog. You cannot explain. You cannot negotiate forgiveness. You cannot have a conversation. So the brain substitutes. It reaches for the one currency it has identified as reliable: food. The treat becomes the apology. It becomes the, "I know I was not present today." It becomes, "I see you, even when I am failing you." There is something deeply human in that impulse. It is not wrong to want to repair, but the dog does not know an apology is happening. They do not need an apology. They moved on. The one who needed the repair was you. And a treat, repeated daily, does not repair anything. It just adds weight to your dog's body and to the pattern underneath. If that just made you see your relationship with your pet in a completely different way, hit subscribe. We explore the science of the human-pet bond every week and what it reveals about us. All right, let us keep going. Number 3. Here is a strange truth about treat giving. It often peaks not when owners feel most connected to their dogs, but when they feel most out of control in the rest of their lives. When work is chaotic, when a relationship is strained, when the future feels uncertain, the treat bag becomes a place of reliable power. You hold out a treat. The dog sits. You have done something that worked. There is a reason behavioral researchers note that food-based interactions can become disproportionately dominant in owner-dog relationships during periods of owner stress. The owner is not training the dog. They are self-regulating. They are finding a corner of their life where the outcome is predictable and the response is immediate and the feedback is unambiguously positive. There is nothing wrong with wanting control in a chaotic world. The problem is that this version of control has consequences the owner is not accounting for. The dog does not understand that they are a stress management tool. What they learn is that food appears constantly and unexpectedly, which trains them to beg, to fixate on food, to watch the owner obsessively for treat signals. The owner's emotional need has been written into the dog's nervous system. That is not control. That is co-regulation running in the wrong direction. Number 4. There is a second direction this runs, and it is subtler. Sometimes the treat is not about the owner's guilt toward the dog. It is about the owner's need for comfort from the dog. Studies on human-animal co-regulation show that the neurological feedback loop from a positive canine interaction, a wagging tail, a soft gaze, physical contact, produces a measurable drop in cortisol, the body's primary stress hormone. Dogs know this, in some sense, because they have co-evolved with humans to read emotional states and respond to them. So when you are anxious, your dog often comes to you. And when they come to you, something in you wants to give back. A treat is a tangible expression of that reciprocity. You gave me something. Here is something back. But the problem is that this makes the dog's comfort giving contingent on a food reward. Over time, it changes the texture of the bond. The dog is no longer seeking the owner from pure attachment. They are also seeking the anticipated reward. The relationship begins to resemble a transaction more than a secure bond. The owner wanted more closeness. The treat, paradoxically, creates more distance, because closeness built on expectation is different from closeness built on safety. This is one of the most counterintuitive findings in canine attachment science. Feeding more can produce a less secure bond. Number 5. Here's the one that is hardest to say out loud. Some treat giving is not about the dog at all. It's about being seen as a good dog owner, even when no one is watching. There is a psychological phenomenon that researchers in moral psychology have documented extensively. We perform virtuous behaviors not only for external audiences, but for an internal one, the self as audience. When you pull out the treat bag and give your dog something special, a part of your brain is narrating the moment. Look at how much I care for this animal. Look at how loved they are. That narration feels good. It adds to the identity of good owner, and identities once formed, need constant feeding, not just the dog. The owners most susceptible to this pattern are often those who have invested the most in the identity of being a dedicated pet parent. The more central the dog is to their sense of self, the more treats become a form of self-affirmation. This is not pathological. It is human. Every parent does this. Every caregiver does this. The question is whether the performance is actually serving the being you are performing it for, or whether it is serving the performer. Because a dog fed past health for the sake of an owner's self-image is not a dog who is loved well. It's a dog who is loved loudly. Number 6. This is the one that connects everything else. The ultimate reason most overfeeding happens is deceptively simple. Treats make dogs quiet, and quiet is what anxious owners need. Not silence in the room, silence in their own heads. When your dog is whining, pawing, barking, demanding your attention, it creates a loop of activation in the owner's nervous system. The dog's distress triggers the owner's distress, and a treat breaks the loop immediately. The behavior stops, the activation drops, the room goes quiet, and somewhere in the owner's nervous system, a reinforcement fires. Giving food resolves discomfort. The problem is that this teaches the dog that any form of demand barking or persistent attention-seeking will eventually produce food. The owner has accidentally trained the behavior they were trying to stop, but more importantly, the owner has now organized their relationship around their own emotional regulation, not around the dog's needs. The dog learns that persistence pays. The owner learns that food buys peace, and neither of them is actually getting what they need. The dog needs a secure, consistent owner who can tolerate the dog's emotional expression without immediately trying to silence it. The owner needs to learn that they can sit with their dog's discomfort and their own without needing to fix it with a treat. That is not neglect. That is presence, and presence is the one thing no treat can replace. So what do you do with this? The first thing, and this is the most important thing, is that none of what we just unpacked makes you a bad owner. It makes you human. The guilt, the need for control, the want of closeness, the performance of care, these are not character flaws. They are the signature of someone who loves their dog so much that the love has become entangled with their own emotional needs. The awareness itself is the intervention. When you reach for that treat bag the next time, pause for 2 seconds and ask yourself one question. Who is this for? If the honest answer is my dog worked for this, this is intentional, this is training, give it freely. If the honest answer is even slightly, I feel bad, or I need this moment to feel like a good owner, put the bag down and do something harder. Sit with your dog, put your hand on their side, feel them breathe. That does not discharge the guilt the same way a treat does. It does not produce the immediate visible feedback, but it does something the treat never can. It offers real presence, which is what your dog's nervous system is actually asking for. Research on human caregiving patterns consistently shows that presence, attuned, unhurried attention, is the most powerful signal of safety in any attachment relationship. Your dog does not need more food. They need more of you, undistracted. That is the only thing that fills the gap the treat was trying to fill. There is a line from the psychology of self-deception that has stayed with me since I first encountered it. It goes something like this. The most convincing lies we tell are the ones we tell in the language of love. Overfeeding a dog is one of those lies. Not malicious, not even conscious, but a lie nonetheless. A story we tell ourselves about care that is really a story about comfort, about control, about needing to feel like we are enough. Here's what is true underneath all of it. You love your dog. That is not in question. The question is whether the way you are expressing that love is actually reaching them. Your dog does not experience a treat as proof of your devotion. They experience it as food. What they experience as devotion is your presence, your steadiness, the reliable, unanxious quality of you just being there. You are already enough. You did not need the treat to prove it. And once you know that, really know it, you might find the bag stays in the pantry a little longer. Not because you love your dog less, but because you finally trust that they already know. Thank you for investing your time with us today. Now that you know your habit of overfeeding reveals a guilt loop in your own psychology, not your dog's hunger, we are curious, the next time you reach for the treat bag, what emotion do you think you are actually feeding in yourself? Let us know in the comments. New episodes drop every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday, so make sure you are subscribed to catch the next one. Until then, decode your dog, decode yourself.